Good morning. What's up, guys? It's Coach Lewis coming to you live. It is, see what is today. Today is April the 20th. It's a Monday morning. All right, I hope you had an enjoyable weekend. I'm excited today. It's another day to attack. Carpe diem. Seize the carp or the day. All right, guys. So, a couple of housekeeping things. First of all, getting towards the end of the month, which means World Champion Week is almost upon us. As a matter of fact, it kicks off this Friday with Lee Kemp, 3-time world champion, literally one of the best wrestlers in American history and world history. So super excited for that. Later today, we have Coach Zach Dominguez coming in from Nebraska. If you guys don't know who he is, he just cranks out world team members at the age group level. The guy is an absolute beast when it comes to focusing on athlete development and really building skills. Not only that, he builds great relationships with his student athletes. The guy's just phenomenal. The rest of the week, we've got Coach Sam Schmitz from McKendree University on Tuesday. Wednesday, we've got Seabass himself and his father, Steven Rivera. Thursday, we've got NCAA finalist Josh Kindig. So we've got a phenomenal week kicking off right now. And I'm really excited. So today is going to be a second lesson. All right. Just one thing to get out of the way. So today's session is sponsored by Opus Elite Real Estate. They have locations in Amberlin, Norristown, PA. If you're looking to buy, sell, or rent, it's actually a good buddy of mine, Anthony Stagliano. He's the coach of a high school here in Pennsylvania. So he's trying to help me out, trying to help out some of the charities that we work with. So trying to help him out. All right. So today, last thing before we get started with everything else. So it is the 20th, which means you only have 10 days left, which means only 4 more opportunities after today for the shoe raffle. All right. Here's my information. All right. If you want to get in on the shoe raffle, I will post everyone who has entered. I'll make sure I get that out onto the Facebook group so that people can see that and make sure that their entries have been counted. And so great. Now, today we are doing our second bottom technique lesson. So on Friday, we started off with our basic rules. And so just remembering being on bottom is you're drowning. Okay, but it doesn't mean that you need to panic. You just need to move with a purpose. And what we talked about was getting to your feet as many times as possible. We talked about elbow fighting and not hand fighting. We talked about sealing off and finding pressure. And then we talked about some different techniques, your switches and your changeovers, which is going to allow you to find pressure in a different ways. What happens when we get to our feet, how we can backstroke into a whizzer and force our opponent to break their lock, thus gaining some position there. We talked about how to build your base once you're broken down. Guys got a deep, tight waist. He's got you broken down. How do we build our base? By bringing our elbow to our armpit, pushing back thigh over chest, so chest over thigh, and then building your base from there, being able to get back to your stuff. So talked about that, and then some power stand-ups. Now, today, what we're going to do is we're going to focus a little bit more on some of the technique stuff. So how do I coach my guys to get out of legs? How do I coach my guys to get out of crab rides? Some of you younger guys might not deal with this, but as you get older, this is definitely going to be a skill set that you need to have in your toolbox. We're going to work on what are we doing when we know that our opponent is very adept at hitting like cross wrist tilts. This is blasted everywhere. Easton tilts. I don't know what you guys call it. So those What about if you're wrestling guys who run bars? And what if you're wrestling guys that are looking for either cross-face cradles or those head inside cradles? What types of strategies are we using? This is a great way to really work your brain so that you're able to switch gears when you're in the middle of a match. So that's what we're going to do today is the second lesson on bottom technique. And it really kind of heavy on the technique here, showing you guys what I think are going to be the most effective things to do to start breaking some of these positions. All right. So like always, let's get started with a warm up. It is a chilly Monday morning here in Pennsylvania. All right. So, getting started here. Let's get some jumping jacks in. Ready, you go. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Good. Let's get some burpees in with the mountain climbers. 1, 2, we're going to do 10 of these. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Good. Get some gymnastics going. Forward roll. Backward roll. Cartwheel. Shoulder rolls. Head spring. Good. All right. Get some push-ups. Get our muscles warm a little more. Fix this. Guys, I've got the Facebook up. If you have questions, want me to repeat something, slow down, do it again, let me know. Same thing. Let's see. Who's in the Zoom? My buddy Thomas once again. Good morning, my friend. All right. Let's get these push-ups and sit-ups in. Good 10 of them at your own pace at home. And then we're going to do our sit-ups and get ready for our stance in motion. Make sure you're getting all of these reps in. Start getting your mindset ready for practice. It's only a short period of time that we need to be focused for, and then you're good to go. All right, so let's start with some stance in motion. First couple of basic skills. Stance motion level change. All right, ready, go. Remember, we want to be in good wrestling position. Got my butt down, chin up, elbows in. And so just like we talked about when we're even wrestling on bottom, we're in the defensive position. We still want to be keeping our elbows in, still want our butt down and our head up. All right. Still want to be checking our levels and checking our distance. Break time. That was first go, 30 seconds. All right. So, sorry. Just checking a message. There we go. Ready? Ready for round 2? Go. So we're going to go about 45 seconds here. Stance motion level change. Penetration. All right, start adding in everything that you want to do. Part of your shadow wrestling. You got your sprawls, circling right back up into your stance. All right, we've got our fakes, which are everything but the shot. You down block. Okay. Penetrate. Make sure you're getting all these things in right now. All right, at your own pace. You guys should be pretty set in knowing your dance at least, what your feet are doing, what your hands are doing, how you're setting up your shots. Break. Got 2 more of these. Gonna go for about a minute. If you guys don't have a little bit of a pattern to your movement, try and find one that works for you. All right, something that can kind of let your body know exactly what the goal is right now. All right, so you're gonna get ready to go here in 3, 2, 1, go. Back into your stand. Moving around. Remember, add all of those elements in. The last couple of weeks, we've added a bunch of skills. We've added our swisher step. All right. Remember all of our motion. We've got our good fakes. All right, we can sprawl, we can fake, we can penetrate, swisher step, drive. Remember, as soon as you're on the wrestling mat, you're moving your feet, butt down, head up, elbows in, checking your level, checking your distance. All right, moving your feet, penetrate, get your hips coming forward, penetrate, hips coming forward. Good, keep moving. Time, you got 1 more. All right, 1 more. Start thinking about your bottom stuff. Remember how we're gonna fire up. Same arm, same leg. Okay. How we're looking to seal off. Okay. Gazzoni. Remember we had our history lesson on Mr. Tony Gazzoni, 3-time state champ, 2-time national champ. All right, back in your stance, go. We're moving around, adding all these skills back in. Keep your feet moving. Check your level, check your distance, backhand only. All right, our home hand stays home. Good, keep moving. Keep your feet moving. Penetrate, hip forward. Penetrate, hip forward. Good. Sprawl. Right back to your stance. Great, good. All right. So, let's do a quick review on kind of what we talked about. It was last week now, it's Friday. All right, so once again, got my trusty partner here with me today. All right, so showing this motion that we want to get when we're getting whistle starts, same side, same arm. Thumb goes right underneath of your elbow. It's normally going to allow you to catch the wrist, and you step straight up forward from here. All right, never get the hands locked. Now, remember our goal the whole time is to just get to our feet. So once we get to our feet, all right, if his hands are locked, what we need to do is find his head. All right, you figure out what side of your body it's closest on. This side? No. This side, I can't reach it. This side, I can reach it. So I backstroke, get to my wizard, inside knee comes down. That forces the break. Good. We talked about our changeover. All right. Our switch, our changeover, our knee opens up. When we come through, we can't land on our crack. Here. And remember, when we land, this heel's got to come underneath of our butt so that we can come up without putting our hands back down. All right, we got to be able to come up, hands up. All right. We talked about how do we build our base. This guy broke his down. He's got a nice tight waist. All right, he's giving me pressure. So what I need to do is get my inside knee to my armpit. All right, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to push my chest over my thigh. Right here, bring my knee up now to my base. All right, and then we spend a good chunk of time talking about elbow fighting. Okay, top hand, bottom hand. Okay, we attack the top hand on the same side. If I attack this way, all right, I give him this 2-on-1. If I reach across my body, I give him a 2-on-1. Okay, so what I want to do is attack same side, and then my other hand is going to push and scrape. All right, once I get him sealed off, he's got to come over the top, or he's got to try and pull me to this side, or just give me pressure, which is going to allow me to come up. If he comes over, remember Rigazoni, turn into this side. All right. If he tries to pull us to the side that we just sealed off, we can turn in and face. And if he's giving us pressure from here, we sealed off, we come right up to our feet, looking to escape. Okay? So let me check my notes. I want to be sure I just covered everything that I went over last week really quickly. Finding the pressure. All right, we talked about that. Need an armpit, sealing off, elbow fight, changeovers. Yep. All right, cool. So let's get into some of the new stuff. A lot of times you wrestle an opponent and they have a preferred turn. So you can wrestle guys who like to tilt, wrestle guys who are good in that crab ride, wrestle guys who are good with legs. All right, so let's kind of break down each one of these guys. If you think of it like you're a batter and you've got to go up and you know that this pitcher throws his best pitch as a curveball, all right, or his best pitch is a splitter. Okay, everyone's got a fastball, they're going to mat return you. But then some guys like to go to their second pitch, which is going to be the one that hurts you. So let's work on some strategies to kind of break through some of these. So first one, let's go over guys are throwing in legs. Okay. So there's basically 3 ways for this guy to ride. All right, he can ride on top of my hips. All right, in a parallel leg ride. In a parallel leg ride right here. All right, this is the preferred ride of most college guys. All right, he can go cross body ride, where he's perpendicular to my hips, okay? Or he can try to throw in both legs, okay? So the easiest one to get out of, I believe, is actually when a guy throws in both legs. They're right in here. So the one thing to remember is I can move my belt buckle, but I can't move my feet, okay? So let's try and get your belt buckle to the mat right here. And now what I want to do is get my knees together and pull myself forward. So knees together, pull myself forward. Okay? Once those legs start to come out and this guy goes to readjust, all right, I'm building up to my base and sealing off. Okay? The one thing we can't let a guy do is stay underneath both of our arms when we're on bottom. So if this guy's got both legs and under both arms, we've got to start the elbow fight and seal off from here. All right. So once we start to get this guy sealed off, we've got to start moving forward with our knees together, trying to get our knees to the mat. So here, when I get my knees together, this makes it hard for him to keep both of his heels underneath. It goes down. Now I've gotten the leg back. Okay, now we're just working like we do if our guy had us broken down with a tight waist, where chest over thigh, finding the pressure, pushing back across it. All right. Now let's get into some of the trickier ones. So he's riding this parallel leg. All right, so there's a couple of different ways to approach this. So we can, right after the leg goes in, or they've already broken our hips down. All right, so we're either on a base and the leg just came in, or they've broken our hips down to the mat. So we're still on our base. All right. One of the most effective is still going to be kind of this straight leg kick and a swim. All right, and the swim happens with both arms. Hold on, guys. Just want to make sure that my internet's still working. Just got a little notification here. Look to still be good. All right. If something happens, someone let me know on Facebook or on the Zoom chat, please. Thank you. All right, so we're going to go mule kick and swim. And really what the goal is to put him on the hip, on the side that he's got the legging on. So we go mule kick and swim. And what we want is that right there. We want this guy to fall off on the same side that the leg was in on. Okay? I'm swimming on the opposite side. All right, my mule kick happens on the same side. Now, I have to do those in tandem because this forces this guy to try to adjust his hips quickly. All right? When I've got a leg in, my goal here with this parallel ride is to try and get Keepway's hips up with my leg pressure here, my hip pressure. All right? So when he straightens out his leg, now my pressure is on the opposite side of his body, and then he throws me back the other way with that swim motion. Okay, now even if I'm staying tight here, if he goes inside hip down, outside hip up, and seals off, he's in a really good position to score. All right, which is what we're going to get to after this. So this guy gets the leg in. We're able to stay on our base. All right, this is a parallel leg ride. We're going to go mule kick first. That should drop the hip, and then we're going to swim. Make that loud thud with your palm. All right, and then we're going to be coming right over the top. All right. Now, what happens if he starts to apply really good hip pressure or catches your arm when you swim, anything like that? So, right in here, Keepway starts to give me some hip pressure, good, or I go to swim and he catches my arm, so I start to get broken down. The one thing I need to do is make sure that the hip that goes down is the hip he has the leg in on. Here. Okay? The side that the leg's on, that's the hip that I want on the mat. And now what I need to do is I need to seal off on the low side. All right? So I seal off on the low side. This guy's not going to be able to turn me with just my top arm. All right? Not only that, but because he's a high on the top arm, this is the high hand, it's easy to elbow fight. Scrape, push, seal. All right? Now, a couple of different ways to attack this seated leg in position. All right? A couple of different ways. So, the first way, the slow and easy way, all right, is going to be this. I'm going to seal off on the leg. My elbow is going to go on the inside of Keepway's knee. All right, and what I'm going to try and do is push my arm, the back of my fist down to put all of the weight on his knee. All right, so he's trying to stay tight to me here. I'm going to be pushing down right there. All right, and now what I'm going to do is I'm going to stretch my feet out in front of me, and I'm going to pull down and try and drive my shoulder into shoulder position. Right here. Keepway's trying to stay with me, but I got this seal off, all right? And I'm putting pressure so that his knee's going away, all right? I'm putting pressure that way. My feet go out and I slide down. I'm trying to come to shoulder position. And right here, I grab leg and elevate. Perfect reversal position. I can climb the body, look to take this guy to his back, all right? Now, the reason this is slow and easy is because this top guy is not just going to be sitting here letting me do this, all right? A good wrestler, first of all, is going to be underneath my arms. So then I've got to decide which side I need to seal off on, okay? And so since I have to make this hip my bottom hip, I have to seal off on this side, all right? So from right here, it's pull and scrape. 1 second, we got a comment to make sure everything's good. Yes, Thomas, I can show it one more time. So I'm here. I've sealed off, all right? I'm putting pressure with my forearm on his knee, all right? And I'm sliding down. I'm trying to get my shoulder in shoulder position. Remember, front of my shoulder, front of his hip. But when I slide down here, all right, I've got to go grab leg, elevate. And this allows me to table the leg, split. I'm in really good position to score, all right? So, when he's got this leg in, all right, he's underneath the arms, okay, we've got to be strategic here. So remember, I'm sealing off on this side, all right, the side that I need to go down. Now, sometimes you're going to need to fight the feet, all right? So we fight feet with feet. Remember that. I'll go and put it on the board in a second. But we fight feet with feet. So we're here. There's no reason for me to reach down and grab his foot. Because as soon as I grab his foot, he comes on the inside of the arm. Now he's got wrist control. Bad news for me. Okay? So I'm going to fight feet with feet. And that's going to allow me to start to get my hips up above keep waves, which can create some better momentum for this bottom guy to find some of these openings to score. So I'm in here. I'm going to fight feet with feet. Okay. Now once this leg is out and his lock is broken between his feet, I know a lot of you guys are going to want to grab this foot. Now the one thing I'll tell you is once I've sealed off, some guys will throw this leg over the top. Okay. And we can do a leg gazzoni here, but these are a little bit tougher. So imagine you've got your arm trapped, okay, and I need to go this way. So I've got to change my hips. I can't just try and roll across my hips because this guy's keeping good pressure. So I need to go backwards and get my hips off the mat first. Right here. Once I start to go backwards, now I can rotate over. And right here, my lock is going to go above my head. All right, hips come off the mat. Lock goes above my head. This is going to allow me to keep this leg as I come through. So, we're wrestling this guy. He started with a leg in. I went to put that hip down. He goes to trap my arm. Okay? I start to drive into him and pull. Hands come above my head. Keep my knees off the mat. Grab leg, elevate. All right? So, this guy's got a straight leg in, straight body ride. Remember, first we're trying to mule kick and swim. All right, that didn't work. I ended up on my hip. Okay? I had to seal off on that inside. And from here, I can push and slide. All right, remember, if he's attacking this high hand, go ahead, attack this high hand. All right, attack this high hand. If you just keep scraping and pulling, you'll be able to get your elbows together. All right, so remember, I can push and slide and elevate. He can come over the top. I can leg gazzoni, or he can try and come over the top this way here, and I can arm gazzoni again. Still just turning in. All right, we haven't added any new motions here. All right, it's still stuff that we've already seen. Might just be using it in a different way. Now, cross body rides. deserve their own special attention. Not a lot of guys ride them anymore, but if you catch a guy that does, you got to be careful. All right, and it does give us a chance to have a kind of bag of tricks move to pull this out. All right, so Keyway throws a leg in, decides he wants to go cross body instead. All right, so one of the things about this cross body ride is now this can become my inside hip. I'm sorry. So I need to make sure that this hip stays up, and I can't let this guy attack this arm. All right, so now this arm becomes vitally important, so I start to keep it away. So one thing that I can do is I can try and force his hip to the mat. All right, so I'm going to do a hip pull, straight leg. Hip pull, right here. So hip pull, straight leg. All right. So right here, I'm going to go hip pull, straight leg. Now, immediately from here, I need to go to my takedown rules. Head on one side, feet on the other. Head on one side, feet on the other. I score. Okay? From right here, I hit my hip pull. Straight leg. Head on one side, feet on the other. Score your points. Okay? That's one way. Here's the fun way. Okay? Now, as this guy's trying to reach for this arm, all right, he starts to put himself out of position. He's getting extended. What we can do is the arm that he's reaching for, we're going to hide between our legs. We're going to grandy and kick. All right, so we're going to go here, kick. And it's going to be the same premise. Head on one side, feet on the other. Oh, went out of frame. So, this guy throws his leg and he starts to go cross body, okay? As he starts to reach, his head goes down. All right, he's reaching for this arm. Here, we can hide it between our legs. Kick. Once our legs go straight, we've got head on one side, feet on the other. Now we're going to look for some shoulder position, okay? Right here. This is going to keep us in position to score. All right. So that's basically how we're getting out of legs. So guys start with one leg, parallel. We know what to do. We're mule kicking, swimming. Once the hip goes down, we're always trying to make sure we get to the hip that our opponent threw the leg in on. Here, I'll show you one way. So let's say this guy throws the leg in, takes me to the other hip, breaks me down this way, okay? So one thing to make sure is the leg that he has in is still eventually going to be the low side. So if he's underneath of this arm, that's fine. I have to keep him out of this arm. All right, so once I can keep him out of that one, this top one, now it's the same premise that we used before. I'm going to start putting weight towards his head so that I can change over. So weight starts to go towards his head, and then all I'm going to do is change over. Stay there. All right, so once I change over to the hip, all right, because I had already sealed off, now I just need to seal off on the inside of his knee. Once I seal off on the inside of his knee, it's just about creating space between our hips. All right, I can slide down, I can elevate, I can grab leg elevate. All right, I've got tons of options. So if he puts us or she puts us on the opposite hip, all right, we've got to make sure that we still seal off on the side that's going to be the low leg and put our hips there, which is the leg that they have. All right, so that's how we're wrestling leg guys. All right, so we kind of touched on this a little bit. Let's just go straight here. since it'll allow us an easy transition. What happens when you're wrestling crab ride, guys? All right, so I'm going to do a whole lesson on crab ride. It's something that I spent a lot of time working on. And so the whole goal for me, the crab ride offensive wrestler, is to stay underneath of your arms, all right, is to force you to attack my hands so that I can get a wrist and tilt. Or I stick with my high half, and what I do is, if I can get you to post one of your hands back by reaching right there, then I can go over that side, and that's how I can pin it. All right? So there's two main parts to a successful crab ride. And so when you know what those are, you know what the two things you have to beat to be able to get out of the crab ride. All right? So first thing is, you can't be underneath both arms. Okay? I can't be underneath both arms. You got to seal off on whatever side you want to make the low side. Because it's a crab ride and I don't have a leg in, you get to decide that. All right? So keyway sealing off on this side. All right, now I'm on the outside there. Now the next thing that's important to a crab ride, all right, are my knees. All right, right here. Keyway must get outside of my knees to be able to get his escape or reversal. Okay? And for me, I keep him inside my knees, inside the pocket, by keeping my heels tight. You see my toes wiggling. All right, I'm keeping my heels really tight so that if I move, see how my heels are really, really tight here? If I start to move, lean back here, he's going to come with me because he's tight to my hip. All right? If I lean all the way back, keyway has to come if I start to turn. All right? And just by keeping my hips tight, I can put him in criteria. So we've got to be able to get outside of the knees. We've got to be able to get outside of the knees, and we've got to be able to fight the hands. Okay? So, crab ride. All right? I'm going to try it. So, my feet shouldn't be here. This is to show this. All right? So, right here. Good crab ride position. His heels are right up against my inner thighs, right? And so I've got to start this elbow fight, all right? And so to do this, I need to move my hips, and both of my hands got to be working, and my feet are trying to pick a side, the same way my hands are. So imagine I get to this position, and I want to go this way. So immediately my feet start moving that way, okay? And I start sealing off on that side. Okay, this is going to force Keyway to make a decision. He's got to pull me. He's got to attack my hands. He's got to do something to keep me in the pocket because if my feet go all the way to the outside, he's toast. Head on one side, feet on the other. So this crab ride position is all about, as the defensive guy, forcing this top guy to make a mistake. By showing you the top hand, whichever side he's really trying to control you with, all right, the top hand, and by showing you which way you're going to need to go to get out. So, here are some no-nos. Never reach between your own legs to grab a foot. All right? If I reach between my own leg like a joystick, what happens is when I go to get outside, my arm and my leg are trapped underneath of each other. Okay? So I never reach in between my legs. I always reach from the outside. And just like we do for our cat drag, I always want to get two hands on one leg. All right? So one of the things that I like to do, if my opponent is staying high with both hands, which keeps me really tight like I'm a pilot and he's my parachute, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go knee, ankle, jump. Knee, ankle, jump. Okay? You've got a patient opponent. Okay, he's not trying to grab your wrist, he just wants to hang on. Knee, ankle on the same leg. Look, ankle, knee, push down, push, hips come up, jump to the outside. Once my hips are to the outside, I'm going to turn towards the feet. Head on one side, feet on the other. Okay? Now, your opponent's looking to attack your hands. All right? The keyway's looking to attack my hands. Once he attacks one side, all right, I can't let that side be the low side. So immediately my other hand seals off and I start to turn this way. All right? My hips are sliding down and away. I want to force this guy to try to slide with me. All right? Because remember, if I can get to the outside of his legs, I win. Okay? He's got to keep me inside of his knees. So, you've got a guy, he starts to go for your wrist, and he gets one right there. He gets one of your wrists, seal off on the other side, turn that way, start to go down. All right? What I want to do is get my hip, my elbow, and my shoulder all to the mat on the same side. Hip, elbow, shoulder, all to the mat. Now when my hips come up, I'll always be able to square with my opponent. All right? If I can get hip, elbow, shoulder, all to the mat, I'll be able to come up and square with my opponent. Now, this is one of those positions that's going to require you to walk, chew gum, and hum your favorite music tune. All right? So as we're trying to attack the leg, right, and our opponent's trying to attack our hands, what we're also trying to do is break his ankles with our butt. Here. All right? I'm going to try and break his ankles with my butt. He's going to be holding on tight, trying to get his heels back tight to me. All right? And I'm trying to scoot away. From here, what he's actually trying to do is pull me back so that I put my hands on the mat. Once my hands touch, he goes elbow to elbow. There goes the wrist. Now he's got the low side. I've got to go right back to square one, start from my belly, build the base. All right, so the three things we're trying to do. All right. I missed some notes today. So here, actually, let's save these all for the end. I'll do all the notes at the end today, once we get through all the techniques. So, we're fighting hands. We're fighting hands by elbow fighting. We're elbow fighting hands. Okay? Elbow fighting hands. Two hands to the same leg. Knee, ankle, push, hop. And then we're also trying to bust his heels with your butt. Here. All right? Those are going to be the three motions that we kind of cycle through as we're trying to get through this crab ride position. All right? Now, so we've got guys with legs. We've got our crab ride guys. All right. Now the kind of next two positions, these kind of next two rides, they kind of feed each other as well, just kind of like your legs and your crab ride do. A busted leg turns into a crab ride really easily if your leg falls out, and a crab ride can turn into a leg really easily if you need to throw the leg in to kind of save yourself. This guy's about to be down. So these other two are complementary as well. Our tilts and our cradles. Our tilts and our cradles are complementary. It's really three: tilts, cradles, bars. All right, but the tilt bar series is really good, but those two things really kind of lead into cradles because guys start moving their heads. All right, and whenever you can get a guy to put his head towards his knee, you've got a cradle, you can pin him, win the match. So when we're talking about guys who hit a lot of tilts, all right, it's of the utmost importance that we don't get caught trying to hand fight by our belly. All right. If you ever reach in on a tilt guy, you might as well start counting the lights now. Okay. So we have to be very disciplined in our elbow flight. All right, we've got to be disciplined here. So when I do my elbow flight, remember, I'm attacking the high hand. So this one around my belly is low. His other hand's still on my elbow. So I'm going to attack the high hand and seal off. Okay? And now the thing about tilt guys is my hands can't drop. All right? So whenever you wrestle a guy that does tilts, you always want to be able to look at your hands. All right? So if your hands aren't in front of your face, then it's a good chance that he's got your wrist. Now, what happens once our opponent does get our wrist? So remember, there's a couple of different ways he can grab. All right? He can have 2-on-1. He can have an inside 1-on-1, and he can have a cross wrist 1-on-1. All right? These are the three types of grips that he can have for his tilts. All right? The most dangerous is this 2-on-1. All right? When this happens, immediately come to the weakest point of the grip, which is always the thumb. I'm going to come thumb to thumb to the outside and start to push it away. All right? Once I break the wrist hand, this inside wrist, all right, I've got to be able to roll it away. Okay? If you don't feel comfortable doing this, all right, then you've got to come back and learn how to push and seal. But you're going to seal yourself to a cross wrist. All right? If you seal yourself to a cross wrist, though, you can still fight from here. The difference in your ability to fight is going to be this. When he's got a 2-on-1, okay, the only way I can keep myself from getting turned is to stop him with my elbow, my head, or my shoulder. When he's got a 2-on-1, he controls where my elbow is. So when he pulls my elbow in, all right, I can't stop him when he tilts. Okay? If he's got an inside wrist only, okay, just the inside wrist, I've got this hand. Okay? My elbow can still go out. And what I need to do is I need to roll it down so that my thumb is saying bad job, right? Once my thumb says bad job, I have to learn how to seal from here. So I seal my elbow up tight and seal from there. All right? This guy had an inside wrist. I'm down here. I'm going to roll it away and seal at the same time. I can't play this game where I roll it out and he stays underneath. All right? I can't let him stay underneath when I roll my wrist. So when I roll my wrist, my elbow's got to come up and scrape this seal off as I come back in. All right? And the last one is this cross wrist. All right? Now, the thing about this cross wrist is you get another option to use your knee to post to keep this really wide base. All right? The problem is, because of the way it's built, I've got to use my other hand to attack. So I've got to use my other hand to attack this lock. So I want to do it for the least amount of time as possible. Like I just said, thumb to thumb. All right? See Keepway's hand, I'm going to put my hand right over top of it like I'm trying to cover it. And my thumb then is going to slide right next to his so that I can push his thumb together with his hand. All right? I want to push his thumb together with his hand so that he has to have this cup. All right? And that makes it a really weak grip on my wrist. Once I'm able to move this thumb from one side of my wrist to the other. All right? So, the last thing about wrestling tilt guys is they give you a lot of good pressure. All right? Guys who are really good with tilts normally give good pressure. So like we talked about last week, being able to find that pressure, all right, and turning with it. So Keyway's going to be driving, trying to put weight on my hand so that he can attack his tilt. Yeah. All right. So he's giving me pressure this way. All right. it's coming from right to left, spiral ride. So I'm going to turn with it. I'm going to turn with it up to my feet. Okay? Now, as we go from a guy who tilts, who also likes to bar, all right? That's what happens when our elbows come above our backs, all right? So anytime this guy's elbow is not down at the hip, but up in his ribs, and it can come up just a little bit, this is where my bar is going to come. All right? So understanding that if I'm hiding my wrist, all right, and I'm trying to keep this guy away from this cross wrist, so he starts to fight, bars end up the next thing that guys look for, okay? So here's a couple of good things about bars, though. If you catch them early, you're a gazoni away from an escape, all right? If you catch them late, you've still got lots of options because they give you somewhere to grab. Either on your base or broken down. Start with on my base. This guy gets a bar, okay, on my base. So whenever a bar happens, I want to supinate my hands. So this is supinated, right? Like someone's going to pour soup into your hand. This is pronated, all right? Supinated, pronated. So I want to supinate my hand. What this does is it keeps my elbow from going all the way up my back, all right? So if I supinate my hand, it keeps my elbow from going all the way up, which is going to be good, all right? The next thing it allows me to do is move his elbow towards my face. I want to do this because it's going to take out some of the pressure from his bar. Now, if he gets it really deep and pulls my arm back, all right, it's not going to be very effective anymore, all right? Now, and the next thing that I want to make sure that I do is I start to turn into this pressure. So start to run it. Keyway starts to run it. I want to start to turn into this pressure. Inside hip down, outside hip up, okay? And whenever he gets a little bit of a release here, our hand goes to the mat. All right? If he's trying to run a bar while we are still on a base, all right, we don't want to give him any opportunity to break us down. So we're going to inside hip down, outside hip up, okay? And any chance we get, we're going to punch that hand to the mat, okay? Now, things get a little bit trickier when we're down here on the mat. All right, so this guy's got a bar. The only good thing about these is when I'm down here on the mat, I can normally try and get my hand to the mat, all right? But I also need to, just like I did for breaking his position on like this tight waist breakdown, I need to bring my inside knee to my armpit. So Keyway goes to start to run his bar. He's on my left side. I need to bring my left knee up tight, okay? All right, I need to bring my left knee up tight. What this is going to allow me to do is I want to try and turn my left knee into my inside hip. So Keyway's running, he's running, and I'm trying to bring my other knee through. Like that. So once again, right here, he's out to the side. He's running his bar. I'm trying to bring this bottom knee through. When I can bring this bottom knee through, now I'm just going to hip heist. From here to here. All right? That's one way. This is called dragging the bar. All right? My opponent's got a really good bar. All right? He's starting to run it. I can bring my inside knee up. This is basically serving as a block. And so as he starts to run, this inside knee creates a little bit of space. All right? Creates some space for my bottom knee to slide through. And as you see, as soon as this bottom knee slides through, it takes away a lot of the pressure that Keyway has on me. All right? So that's one way we're getting out of this bar once it's already on. Now, another way. he's starting to run the bar again. Okay? I always, if I can't keep any control of the elbow, then I want to get below the elbow and get my hand back to the inside. All right, as close to my chest as possible. The Kibwe's trying to get his bar. He's trying to get my elbow up. All right, if it's out here or up over his hip, like trap it, or up over his hip, this is going to be really bad. All right, because he's going to hurt my shoulder off before I even know. So if I can't hook this elbow and get it out in front of my face to say hi, then I'm going to drop below the elbow and bring my hand to my own chest. All right, the Kibwe's still trying to run. Okay, what this is going to allow me to do is now I can push on his knees. Okay, with this in tight, I can start to keep things away. And I'm going to turn my hips as I do. So he's running, my hips are going to turn, and they're going to start to come up. And what I want is, I want Kibwe to try and turn his hips over the top, because that's what will allow me to bring both my knees under. All right? So he's got this bar. If I can't pull this in tight, then I'm going to go below the elbow so that I can come to my belly. From right here, I can't get to my belly. All right, it's just too much meat here. All right, gotta go to the gym too much. I gotta go below the elbow so I can come in. Now this is going to give me places to push off of. All right, it's going to give me somewhere to work from. All right. Last but not least are your cradle guys. All right, so whenever a guy throws a cradle, he's got a hand over the top. So before the lock happens, you've got to be thinking Gazumi. All right? Even from a broken down position. Kibwe goes cross-face cradle. Right here, this cross-face cradle. Two hands, extend, pull it to the other side of my head. And just like we talked about on Friday, when I go to my stack knee position, all right, all I need to do is turn into this arm. When I turn, though, Kibwe is going to start to follow. The only thing he has left is to throw in a leg. Okay? That's all he's got left. So, his knees trying to come in, but my knees are stacked. And I've got to seal off with my elbow. So if his knee tries to come all the way over the top, all right, look where his hips are, way above his head. He's not going anywhere. All right? So, right here, before you get caught there, all right, now, once you do get caught on the elbow, we've got to extend this arm out, get our chin down, all right, start to extend our arm, because what we want to do is, once this comes off of our elbow, now it becomes our hand. We can Gazumi out of this. Pull it to the other side of your head right away. And remember, this leg, this is the leg closest to Kibwe. I have to make sure he doesn't throw a leg in on that side. That's all he's got left to hold me down here. Okay? As I'm wrestling out of this position, okay, right here, as I turn in, that's what's going to happen. He's trying to get his hips up and over top of mine. All right? Now, this works the same for inside cradles. Imagine here, okay? He caught me here, head down by my knee. Inside hip down, outside hip up, two hands to one, extend. I've got my Gazumi, but I need to change sides once again, okay? Right here, he's over the top of my head. But when I pull down, he's just on the same side. So I've got a Gazumi and turn. So when it comes to bottom wrestling, we're not going to be, it's not a million options. Okay? So here's what a lot of our technique is going to boil down to. Elbow flight. So these are the questions you should be asking yourself. Ready? So, did I seal? Did I seal on the low side? That's the most important side. Whatever side's going to be the low side, got to seal that off. Create hip space. Space is your friend on bottom, which is why we have our changeovers, right? So how? If I say create hip space and you say, coach, how? I'm going to say, we got our changeover. Got our Gazzoni. Get into your feet. All right? We'll actually make that third rule. All right? So third rule is get to your feet as much as possible. Notice I didn't say have hand control. Right? It's get to your feet as many times as possible. Now, one thing that you've got to understand is some of your opponents aren't trying to get better right now. They're going to get sick and tired of picking you up and putting you back on the mat if you get to your feet 4, 5, 6 times in 1 minute. Okay? They're just gonna stop and they're gonna let you go. All right? So get to your feet as many times as possible. All right? And don't forget, once we're there, find the head and backstroke. Find the head, backstroke, inside knee goes down. Inside knee goes down. And the last thing, you're drowning. Move with a purpose. Remember, you can always at least circle back to something that I've said, whether it be building your base, whether it be elbow fighting, sealing off, attacking the high hand on the same side. You've got to be able to find something that you're not doing or that you haven't done yet that hasn't worked and go back to it and try it again because you're drowning. Okay? And it's not a time to panic. It's a time to be deliberate, which means you make the choice of what you're going to do. You don't let your opponent dictate what's happening. Just want to end today, the way I've been ending the last couple of sessions, right? So really understanding what our mindset's going to do for our wrestling. It's really important to visualize. Right now, we're all in a place where we don't get the opportunity to put our hands on opponents. So that visualization is going to be very important. The more that you can put yourself in a match where you can feel the emotion, maybe your heart races, maybe you go through a warm-up, that can help create really vivid memories for you to use to help build some of this technique. Because a skill is just your brain being able to visualize what you're doing before you actually do it. So, and so just remember, you must be looking to score the next point, by making the next best decision. All right, because you can and you will do it. All right, guys, that's the lesson for today. Thank you for tuning in. I hope everyone is staying safe and healthy. Don't forget, we have got the shoe raffle. All right, PayPal and Venmo right here. $5 gets you an entry. I only have 4 lessons left. All right, so only 4 more chances to get some entries in for the shoe raffle. Also donating to charity, sending me a picture. Make sure you guys get on that. Zach Dominguez going today, so please make sure you tune in at 12:30. I'm very excited to see him and everything that he does down at his club in Nebraska. The guy does big things, and so I'm excited. You should be too. Have a great day. Make the best of it. Remember, go seize that carpe diem. All right, guys, talk to you later.